All right, thank you for staying with us. We switch gears right now. We talk about the rule of law as regards politics and, jurisprudence in Nigeria and the way it's being handled. Now, the purpose of this conversation is for public engagement, public enlightenment, proper way to handle it, beyond what politicians would do, or what they won't do. Politicians are quite interesting and set of people. Now, the People's Democratic Party, the leadership of the PDP, under the chairmanship of Kabiru Tanimu Turaki, SAN, has petitioned the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Soho, requesting that 3 judges, Justices James Omotosho, Peter Lifu, and Joyce Abdulmalik, be barred from presiding over suits involving the party, involving the PDP. And they made that request through a formal letter addressed to the Chief Judge and signed by the PDP National Secretary, Taufik Arapaja. And they expressed deep concern over what the party described as a recurring pattern where virtually all cases involving the PDP at the Abuja division of the Federal High Court had in recent years been assigned to the same set of 3 judges, despite the availability of several others in the division. Meaning, according to the PDP, Justice Peter Lifu, Justice James Omotosho, Milord, and Justice Joyce Abdulmalik have always, in PDP was being the one assigned cases that has to do with the party, and they are saying, please let them be excused from attending or being, being the ones administering cases that has to do with the PDP. And they said it's a recurring pattern. For example, Justice James Omotosho had on October 31 delivered judgment in a suit filed by 3 agreed PDP members, Austin Wachuku from Imo, Ama Abraham Nnana, Abia State Chairman, and Tuna Alaba Judge. In that ruling, the court halted the Plan National Convention scheduled for November 15 and 16 in Ibadan. And subsequently, 14th of November, Justice Peter Lifu issued an order restraining INEC from supervising, INEC is the Independent National Electoral Commission, from supervising, monitoring, or recognizing any convention held by the PDP without including former Jigawa State Governor. In a related judgment again, they said Justice Joyce Abdulmalik earlier restrained the PDP from dissolving its Cross River State Executive Committee. The court issued the order after the PDP leadership replaced the state executive structure with a caretaker committee, a move the court found to be unlawful. And in all of this, they've just given some of these instances, and the PDP are saying, please, these justices, they've written to the Chief Judge of the, Appeal Court to say, please don't let these justices be the one attending to our matters. Again, talking about the People's Democratic Party. We have a public affairs analyst and lawyer with us who help us make a sense of these developments. Barrister Moses Obaditan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Right, you've heard this, I'm sure. You've seen the news yourself. And firstly, let's start from here. Is it permitted in law, to say, please, these justices, they have not, anytime we have a case at this particular court, they are the ones always giving our cases, while there are other available judges, and whenever they give their verdict, it's not always favorable to them. Please excuse them. Do they have that right?
Well, it's not a question of yes or no.
Okay.
It requires a lot of explanation.
Okay, yeah. Please make it as brief as possible.
Okay.
Because of that.
A legal luminary said that when justice is dispensed, both the parties should be satisfied, knowing fully well that they've actually received judgment or justice. But in a situation where the party felt justice has not been dispensed, and that's not fair. So when you are talking of fair hearing, the individual is coming before the court should be able to have confidence, knowing fully well that what he has come to the court for will be granted, as long as within the framework of the law. But in a situation where a litigant perceived that the judge who is going to preside over his case is not fit and proper, that's why I say I require explanation.
Yeah.
Or where you know that element of bias will negatively affect your case, you have a right to ask that this person to excuse himself from presiding over the case. And I'm going to give you some example that happened in Nigeria. There used to be a case involving Peter Odili as the then governor of Rivers State. Yeah. And it was a case of corruption, especially when he ceased to be governor. And the case was to be presided by Mrs. Peter Odili, who is now, I think they call her retired Supreme Court judge. So, and the people came and said, no, sir, the Chief Justice, please. They even told her, you cannot preside over this case because you are a human being. You can't preside over your case involving your husband. And so Mrs. Peter Odili, I can't remember her first name now, has to excuse herself.
Mary Odili.
Mary Odili has to excuse herself on it. The same thing. And in a particular case too, went, I think, involving two political parties. And it was perceived that the judge has, I'm going to give you one in Osun here.
Right.
They perceived that the judge was alleged to have taken money. And when they were screening, he didn't believe the story. So the litigant has to petition the CJ. You know, today it's easy to transfer electronically with evidence to back up. And then they sent it and said, you cannot preside over this case. And he went ahead. Today, this same judge in Osun has been fired and you're not going to collect his retirement benefit because the evidence was there. So whenever there's cases where you feel the person is presiding over it, that's why I say you need to have evidence to be able to prove your case. Or if you know that Obaditan is a friend to Femi, and Femi has come to demand for the land that he has in Abuja, and as God will have it, I'm the judge. Somebody who knows my relationship with Femi will be able to raise the issue and say, sir, you cannot sit over this case. This man is your friend. And as human being, that element of bias will be there. So if the PDP said, our case number one before motor show, the second one before motor show, each time they come and they look at the nitty-gritty of the case, is it supposed to, for example, the Chief Justice of the Federation said, granting injunction should not be frivolous. And if you look at the case of PDP in recent time, one given in, I think in Abuja, another one given in Ibadan, the other one given in another place, that is not good. It's not healthy.
Two in Abuja, one in Ibadan.
So if the PDP felt somebody is monitoring or turning the boat, they have a right to petition the CJ and say, please, don't let these people preside over our case. It's creating more problem than giving us fair hearing.
All right, so if the PDP, if they have claimed that these judges have shown consistent bias, what are the mechanisms to, address such allegations in the judiciary?
What you do, if you are sure of your case, like I've said, is to petition the CJ.
Like in this
case. The Chief
case.
Justice and say, please ask this judge not
which
to
is done.
Which they have done. And then it's not left for the Chief Justice to give the case to another person, even at the state level. Let's assume there's a chieftaincy issue and somebody was to preside, and they know historically the man is from the same area. So they can say, please, even they don't even need to tell them, they say, please, Mr. Judge, can you excuse yourself from this case? And you ask, why? Because you are from Ilagbesi, and the issue we are talking is very close by. It's a community issue. So I said, there is no way we can expect. So it's such a judge can excuse, but where he proved, because some judge will say they are not going. So you now petition him to the chief judge of that state or at the federal capital level.
All right. In this case now, where the PDP is claiming this bias, apart from the fact that they have been able to just state that in recent times, these three judges have been the one, their cases have been, recycling around these three judges. What exactly is the case here? Is it because it's just these three judges and it's not extending beyond them, though there are 12 other divisions in the FCT? Or is it because they have been getting, non-positive results themselves? I mean, that faction. What exactly is the case they're making here?
Because somebody recently wrote a book, which I saw, that's Femi Ojodu. I'm sure Femi is likely to have come across it. He said in time past, there are arrangements where litigants arrange with a judge. And sometimes they will have written some judgment before they even hear the case.
Okay.
In his book, which he has written. And not only that, it's apart from Femi Ojodu, a senator, something Bacha, I think it's from Borno State, said, my wife used to assist my colleague whenever there is election petition.
Senator Bukachua.
Bukachua. So when you see things that way, and you foresee it, so somebody, when you now come for the first time, you saw the direction. As human being, you will perceive this, because your memory will flag back. I perceive that somebody somewhere we are not likely to get judgment in this case. So these are some of the reasons why people look around and say, okay, if that is the story, if this is the so, we are not likely to get judgment. People, let's look at the PDP issue. In the first instance, the Supreme Court has ruled that court should not be getting involved in internal affair of political party.
Except in obvious cases of human rights violation.
And despite that one, somebody said he didn't allow him to get form. And then the next thing, no convention. The other one said, because this month his time is going to expire before and you give judgment, they said they are going to have a general, and then you give such a thing. So where is the Supreme Court judgment? In another clime, they will have said, so you don't have jurisdiction. We don't have jurisdiction over this case. And then the other lawyer can ask, why? Because the Supreme Court has said we should not interfere in your internal affair. But in our own time here, or in recent time, you find people, once you just come, I think they take delight in it, or maybe, I don't want to, because I have to be very careful, we are working here, so that they don't say a lawyer alleged that a judge used to collect money. They have not have money. But we have seen where judge, I know of one in this state, is today fired. I don't want to mention his name because they have evidence that he collect money, and it's not only today. And at least the one I've mentioned now, Bokashua and the Jodu's writing. That's, in fact, let me even remember. There used to be one man who died, a senator in Ogun State. That huge man. He has one name like this. He belonged to the PDP. He said, I will have settled and tell the judge what they want and how much it's going to cost before they even listen, and judgment will have been written. So if such a thing and is documented, such a judge will go. And not only that, a judge of the Court of Appeal recently, when Buhari was there was allegation against her that she collect money. And then they investigated, they saw the money, and she was put on suspension. And then from there to court. Do you know what saved her? She's back now. They said the government, or the president, Buhari, ought not to have put her on suspension. He's supposed to direct that case to the NJC, who will now confirm, investigate before putting out suspension and for trial.
All right, Barrister Obaditan.
These are technical ground can come. So the PDP may have their reason.
Right. And
especially if they are so sure of those facts.
Give some instances.
So it does happen. Not only here, but it happened on that.
I understand. Now, the cases that the PDP referred to, there are some cases that are supposed to have been referred to the internal mechanism of the party. Actually, is when you have explored every available, stages of this dispute resolution mechanism in the party, that you cannot go to court. And there are some of it that the court has referred back to the party to say, excuse us, let your party go and handle these affairs. Yes. But there are some in which some persons will possibly feel that the internal mechanism of that party has been skewed against them. So there is no way they can ever get justice. Now, I want us to be very intentional here, because now, if And you know, when it comes to law, you know more than I do, it's about precedence. The moment you start something for life, it will always be referred to. Now, if political parties are now cherry picking, who will handle their cases? The question is, it's good. I mean, it's easy to identify cases to say, oh, she or he, my lord, was the one who handled this in every case. By the way, is he? Is the one who handled these cases, who did this. The thing is, and the cases were not favorable to them. The thing is, were you wrong? Were your lawyers able to defend your case? So if actually these persons, I mean, their judgment has favored you, with the PDP be raising accusing fingers at them. Now, there is a reason the PDP has come out with this position. We learned that there is a fresh suit yet to be assigned to a judge. Acting National Chairman Mohammed Abdurrahman and National Secretary Samuel Ayawu of the Wike-led faction have approached the Federal High Court in Abuja seeking an order to invalidate the convention and reverse all decisions taken. Barrister. And I think that is why the PDP under Tani Muturaki has went to court to say, please don't assign this case to any of these three judges again. Now, what does this portend for our judiciary, actually, for the rule of law in Nigeria? Because if the PDP goes ahead with this, because they've written my lord, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, to say, please seek into this matter. And the APC tomorrow wakes up to say, these judges, please excuse them from our cases. And the LP says, these judges, excuse them from our cases. What are we inferring? Are we not saying they are not capable? Are we not saying that beyond sentiment and allegations, these judges have been compromised? Because that's the meaning. The moment you say, I know that these judges, they don't like our party. What you are saying is, but what you are inferring is these judges can never dispense justice because they are not favorably disposed to us. I want us to talk to precedents. And for the PDP saying, because we have a case coming up right now, please, these cases not be assigned to these judges. If everybody begins to cherry picks, so what is the future of justice in Nigeria?
In other words, just to add to that question and put it in an easier perspective, how do we distinguish, how do we separate genuine concerns from judge shopping? Genuine concerns of impartiality from judge shopping in this case?
Well, if what DPP have done is true, it's a big challenge to the judiciary. And not only that, that's why we have the Chief Justice of the Federation, Ekere. And from her experience, even before PDP do that, he would have been seeing the going on. He's likely to have studied each judges and know which ones to give cases to, or that kind of thing. In other climes, where the head of the judiciary or the Chief Justice perceives that a particular judge or some certain judges are not doing, what they do is to come within what we call internal discussion and tell them, look, justice is for all. This, I observe, I'll do that kind of thing. But in a situation where the person who is supposed to do the correction look as if he's not there, he's not taking any action, those people now felt that they could endanger their case, now have the audacity or the consciousness of coming before the judge and say, look, we perceive in recent time, this X and Y, whenever they handle a case, we are not pleased. If they bring the case, the question the chief judge or whoever is concerned to look and to is to look for what's going to be if this case goes to court of appeal, and what is the outcome? For example, let's assume the case of the governor of Imo State that came up at the tribunal about 6 years ago, because it's on the second time now. That's, the man in Imo State now.
Hope Uzodinma.
Hope Uzodinma. At the first tribunal, they say he lost. At the second level, they say he lost. But at the Supreme Court, brought some other words, which he said were not counted for him, and eventually they add up. And the people felt bad and said, this is Supreme Court governor. That is not all. I'll give you the Akpabio, and the former Senate president, who is also from, I think, from
Yobe. Ahmed
Lawal. These two people contested with Bola Tinubu at the primary level. And by virtue of it, they don't have a right to contest again. Despite the fact that they did not participate in their party primaries, the party gave them the slots to go back to Senate. And some people challenge, particularly the one in Yobe, challenge the man, say, you didn't participate. You are not entitled. And for one reason or the other, the Supreme Court in their wisdom felt, well, that is party's choice. And people feel, So if you are going to come and correct such a judiciary, those people at the Supreme Court has to be retired or removed, because they give them an impression that quite often justice was not dispensed. But in the case of PDP, since the judgment is not the finality, you whom they have complained to that you don't want this particular job, you will look at what is the holding at the Court of Appeal. Was it in tandem with what the first court has given? Are there elements of bias? Because you cannot slaughter these people. There's a limit to what this higher judicial officer can do over them. But what you do, you look at their records. Are they consistent? Are there petitions against them in time past that prove? Let me just give you a practical, because I know time may be running out. In the case of the trial of Chief Obafemi Awolowo in 1962, Justice Sowemimo was the one that presided over that case. And from the look of things, it was a felonious offense with 37 others, including Lateef Jakande. And when the man was given his judgment, he said, my hands are tied. I look at what you have done, that kind of thing. And by the time they give the judgment, Chief Obafemi was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and many others. But the evening of that day, Justice Sowemimo was found at the house of the Northern Region Governor in Kaduna, dining with him. And the thing was on record that that judgment was biased. Because they were called the ethics of judiciary, or maybe you call it judicial ethics. As once you become a judge, you don't socialize. You don't socialize, you are not like me that can attend your party now. You won't fight a judge if you follow the ethics. So there are things about, so that judgment for participating that same day you sent the opponent of this man and dining with him, gave them out. And that spoiled his record. So what I'm trying to say was that there are things that people see before they can allege and say, don't give our case to this person. And if it has come, like I said, what is the implication? The implication is that it shows that the judiciary is suffering. It shows that the judiciary needs some surgical operation, so that it's not today because of tomorrow. Look at it in some, like in Guinea-Bissau now. The election was just going on. The result had just been, and then the military took over. Why? Because they believe justice may not be maintained. Because where the rule of law fails, then the next thing is state of anarchy. To avoid it, whosoever is privileged to be in the judiciary, to be able to right the wrong, should be able to do it so that the whole situation will not collapse. It is expected that the executive can be wrong, the what do you call it, the legislator can be wrong, but the judiciary cannot afford to be wrong. It has to be whatever. That's why it is said, whatever it takes, whosoever you are under the justice of you are under the law of the land. So where such thing is not corrected in time, then things are not going to go.
Barrister, Topa's question,
have I answered your question?
She had was, how do you separate genuine concern from, as what is called forum shopping? This one is judge shopping now. Because there are many persons, in fact, I've seen some lawyers who are saying we must be very careful. Because the moment anybody can write to the chief judge to say, my lord, I don't want this person. He doesn't like my face. I've had cases in his court and he's not favorable to me. So please assign it to someone else. Or the implication by inference is you don't trust their neutrality.
You see, there's a different...
sorry, sir. Okay, in this case, you are talking about politicians that will do anything to achieve whatever they want.
Yes.
Just because they have a case coming up that has been put together by one Abdul Malik and Senator Anyanwu saying the convention in Ibadan should be nullified and every of the decision taken. So they are saying this person, this person, this person, they are not favorable to us. Please assign it to someone else. How does that work?
The difference between, do I call it window chopping or judicial chopping, and the genuine concern will be based on the reason given, if it is relevant, cogent, and acceptable.
Maybe
but in this case, we've had cases with these 3 judges consecutively.
Yeah.
In law, is it supposed to be so that a particular, group or team are having the same set of judges presiding over their cases consistently, and you're having a kind of judgment that is always favorable to some every single time? Can that be, can that allude to the same fact? And is it supposed to be in law?
Maybe if you want to add.
No. Go ahead. I will ask my question later.
Yes. The question is that let's put it political party. Is always, his case is always assigned to a particular
Yes,
judge.
that's the case here.
And then whatever is the outcome is not favorable. So, remember, party to us have legal team. In their own legal team, they will have to bring that judgment. They will analyze it. How did the judge arrive at this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it favorable to us? Is it our own fault? Are there things we need to have put that we didn't put? But in a situation, because I've handled a case in Ijebu-Jesha at the High Court. Each time I make this mistake, Mr. Obaditan, I know where you are going. So and the case we are now in the Court of Appeal. And I said, I have to say, my lord, sir, it appears you are very biased on this. They say you are free to make your call. Yes, I am saying with all honesty, I'm before television. I said, you are biased in this. They say you are free to your opinion. I said, and then I told her, I said, if we are not satisfied, we go to our court. They say you are free to do that. And today we are in the Court of Appeal. So sometimes you find some judge, they have taken their step. And no matter the argument you are bringing, the evidence you are bringing, they will reject it. So if you have such a thing, you return back to your house and say, okay, what do we do? Is either you go to Court of Appeal, and if you know the Court of Appeal is going to be a long journey, a similar case likely to come, then you do is to do the needful. You attach your previous case, the judgment he arrived at, and send it to the NJC, and said, this is our case. We thought and we believe this judge is biased. And so we don't want our case to be before him. So she have a right. But in a situation where, it was because they say, okay, all the words in your party must do their...
Then I ask another question. Yes. How legal is it to consistently have your cases, forwarded to some particular set of judges? Is it legal? Is it something that ought to be seen? Is it normal?
You see, this putting your cases before is an administrative process.
Okay.
Once you file your case, it's not your business to know who is going to handle the case.
Right.
Yes, as soon as you
are should it be a thing of particular concern? Just as they've said that these are courts of particular concern. Should it be of particular concern to you that every time I have a case, I'm meeting the same set of judges?
Yeah, that's why you have to. That's why the PDP is now raising alarm.
Yes.
Now, this time we come, why this particular set of judges? Why don't you take our case to another places? So it is not you who have come to find and said, this is the judge I want. No. You can't do that. We have been told, and I read it in the Ojodu book, that there are places where they know the judge, they will have discovered the judge, the judgment will have been written, and they mention cases. And that's the man, one popular PDP man that died, tall, black like this. He also said the same thing in Ogun State. So where you have such a thing and you have such evidence, put it to the NJC. That job will be fired.
To buttress your point.
All right. So you cannot just free voteless because your case been sent to and said, I don't want that job.
All right, Barrister.
They will ask you what's the reason.
According to, Mr. Arapaja now, he said it is of great concern to our party that it would appear that all matters for the past few years filed in the Federal High Court, Abuja Judicial Division, either for or against our party, have always been assigned to the following 3 judges only: Honorable Justice James Omotosho, Honorable Justice Peter Lifo, and Honorable Justice Mohammed Abdul Malik, even though there are other judges numbering up to 9 in the Abuja division, as the division has 12 judges in total, means we have 9. And for years, our cases are always hovering, around these 3 judges. And they said, indeed, Sorry. And so they went ahead, as Arapaja used one particular statement to say public perception casting them as court of particular concern. How does that work? Public perception. Is it admissible in law to say even the people sees that something is wrong with them? Is that admissible in law?
The whom are the PDPs making that statement? Is it to the public or to the CJ?
They've written the CJ,
Uh-huh.
the Chief Justice on this matter, and they highlighted their reasons. Part of what they gave is why these three persons, even though the public are seeing that something is wrong. Now, when you talk about public concern,
Perception, yes.
public perception, is it admissible in law?
Well,
For them to have put it as part of their case.
Let me tell you.
There are reasons.
there are three principles that guide judgment.
Yeah, we have like 1 minute to go.
Number one, what does the law say? Number two, is it for the generality? And then third, the public. In 1979, they would have cancelled the 12th to 3rd election. But the public position was that if they cancel it, the military will not go. So for that reason, they gave it to Shehu Shagari. So the judge always concerned, what will the implication on the public? So if they are making reference to it that, look, Judge, the public are aware that justice is not being dispensed. So they ought to be. So that's why they raised that issue. It's principle that guide judgment. So it is good they raised it. But then they shouldn't have made it even a public issue because they are breaking down the judiciary. So once they have petitioned the CJ, they should have waited.
It should have remained that way.
Remain that way. So that if, on the other hand, the CJ refused to change ground, then they now address the public and said, this is our story, this is what we read. So there's nothing, they can even go to court.
There are some persons that believe maybe this particular concern that has been raised by the PDP is just a way to twist, to force the hands of those at the judiciary to say, this next case that is coming up, let it favor us. Don't you see it that way?
I don't see it that way. You know, the reason is this. If that Supreme Court judgment has not come, that give instruction that don't make internal affair issue to be an issue before you. Reject the jurisdiction. Ask them to go. In fact, even the case
in this case, the PDP is defending. They are not the ones who took their case to court. They are defending.
Okay.
They are the defendants.
Okay.
It was the case that is coming up is Senator Anyanwu and one other person that has sued the PDP.
Okay.
So definitely,
and that's why they are raising alarm. That we don't want it to go to the same people, so that we won't have
I don't think they are trying to manipulate the judiciary into doing their bidding.
I don't think they are trying to manipulate the judiciary. They are simply raising consciousness. They you know, if you I don't know how to put it better than that one.
All right.
They are trying to make the judge, the administrative sector, to be conscious that the world are watching you. Let another person even try our case.
All right. I would like to ask you before we
And
go.
remember, you are dealing with politicians. They think ahead.
If the CJ were to refuse this petition, or what could be the possible legal or political consequence of it?
They have two options.
Okay.
Either to sue the CJ
Okay.
or the judiciary.
Okay.
Or, on the other hand, they may go before the court and ask this judge to disqualify himself.
To recuse.
Yes. You can ask a judge, please, can you disqualify yourself from this court or from this case? And then
You must
ask
come with reasons.
you know, that's where I'm going now. We'll ask you, what are your reasons? Then I said, in the last 3 occasions, each time we come before you, we do not get justice. And we perceive that you are a biased judge in this case. No, when I said I told a judge that was biased, you asked, oh, alarm. Yeah, they are human beings.
All right.
As long as I'm not insulting, I said I perceive, sir, that you are biased.
Thank you, Barrister Obaditan. We are totally out of time. Thank you very much. But it's quite interesting for you to say, can a judge be sued? Because we learned anything done in the Alo chamber is done and it's final.
Yeah,
in the course of his work.
You cannot sue a judge, but you can petition a judge to this NJC.
Okay, all right.
Because they are the one that employs, supervise, and they have a right to remove him.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Barrister Moses Obaditan, thank you for your time. And of course, this is really for public enlightenment, beyond the choices or the concerns of the PDP, because this nation is ours. We are first Nigerians before the choices of being a PDP, APC, LP, whatever P anybody chooses to belong. And thank you very much to everybody that has been with us in the course of the week, the production team, everyone We'll see you next Monday, God willing. Femi Ojo is my name. Enjoy your weekend, but please stay alive.
My name is Temitope Achichola Oluwala. See you Monday.